Hello everybody and welcome back to For Real. It's Wednesday today, so that means it's one thing and one thing only. It's time for this week's news motto. Before we get started though, a reminder to you, if you could please subscribe, like and comment. Doing this really helps us out a lot. As our name suggests, we do this for real, and any money that we earn from YouTube, we give back to charities in Cambodia. Through you watching our videos and liking or commenting, we make money from YouTube. You don't have to donate anything other than your time. And since you're already here, let's get started. A record number of imported COVID cases were recorded in Cambodia today as fears grow over the Alpha and Delta COVID variants being transmitted. Today's announcement of 981 new cases in total is close to the average of 1,000 cases a day that we've been seeing for the last couple of days up to a week. This recent surge means that the COVID case total has now breached 57,000 people. This is a huge increase since the start of this outbreak on February 20th. At that time, Cambodia only had about 500 cases in total. Bit of a change for people: if you've booked flights into Cambodia and you test positive for either of the Delta variants, you're now going to need to stay in quarantine for 21 days instead of the 14. For everyone else, quarantine is still 14 days, and there has not been any update about when this requirement might be lifted in the future. There have also been instructions that patients detected with these variants should be separated for treatment. It's not just Cambodia, these new variants have also been found in Cambodia's neighbouring countries. Authorities have tightened the entry and exit points at the borders and will conduct rapid tests, particularly in the provinces bordering Thailand. On the other side of the border, the Thai authorities are doing the same thing. Banteay Meanchey authorities lamented that although security is tightened along the Cambodian-Thai border, a lot of workers and brokers for migrant workers are still crossing as their Cambodian residents. This is a huge problem at the moment, with illegal and legal border crossings due to the COVID lockdowns in Thailand. This has led to a lack of work, so people have to return to Cambodia if they've got no employment or money in Thailand, and there's no longer a reason for them to stay there. However, in more positive news, the 101-year-old woman who we mentioned in a previous news motto successfully received her second dose of Sinovac. She's doing well and hasn't reported any side effects. A representative of Prime Minister Hun Sen donated about $750 and a range of food items to the woman. Hun Sen's representative said, "Through me, the Prime Minister wishes her a long life to be 130 years old. That must be some good vaccine that she had. I'll have what she's having." If you watch any YouTubers that are talking about Thailand, all you'll be hearing about is the Phuket Sandbox. It's a special tour program for foreign tourists to enjoy a holiday in Phuket without quarantine. If they're vaccinated, they're allowed to go in without quarantine, and after 14 days of being in Phuket, they're allowed to travel freely around the rest of the country. Local tour operators in Cambodia said that it was a lesson for Cambodia to consider because welcoming vaccinated tourists could be a way forward for the future. The Cambodian Tourist Guide Association's president said, "This is good news because Thailand and Cambodia have a lot of links in the tourism and trade sectors. This is good news for tourism services, as I hear that Siem Reap is on the preparation trial to open for vaccinated tourists. No dates have been announced, therefore it is important that the government and all of us continue to work hard together to prevent the virus and speed up the vaccinations." Also in Siem Reap, the Indonesian ambassador to the Kingdom of Cambodia organised several cultural and sporting events to help support the implementation of the ASEAN travel bubble. Let's say that again, travel bubble. The ambassador added that the implementation of the Batik Chroma fun bike activity that was held in the Angkor Wat Park grounds was carried out by complying with the health protocols and requiring all participants to be fully vaccinated against COVID. Travel bubble. The Ministry of Justice has announced the end of its 395-day campaign to clear backlog cases in the Phnom Penh and Provincial courts. Game, set, match. That's a lot of court time. Who writes this stuff? In a statement, the ministry said it had managed to clear 37,900 of the 39,500 backlogged cases. During the course of the campaign, 32,214 inmates were also released, helping reduce the overcrowding in prisons. Unfortunately, their work is never ending. A confrontation at a Sienukville casino led to a shootout between a foreign national and security personnel. This incident occurred at the Tong Sing Casino. According to the Sienukville City Inspector, the incident happened when a Chinese man entered and left the casino without permission and without a valid card. It doesn't say what the card should have been, but it must have been very important as the security guards then tried to restrain him. But they weren't quick enough. The Chinese man then fired 2 or 3 shots at the entrance of the casino. He then absconded from the scene via a waiting car. No mention if it was a Prius or a gold Camry, but I'm sure if it was a gold Camry they would have caught him by now. Sienukville police are currently searching for the gunman. In another shooting case, an unidentified gunman shot dead a woman and seriously injured a man as they slept. The incident happened at a duck farm in Kinal province. According to police, a 49-year-old woman died at the scene and a 45-year-old man was seriously injured. The couple was discovered by their son when he returned from an errand to a nearby factory. Police immediately arrived at the scene and found at least 10 bullet casings and 2 bullet holes in a zinc wall. The Kinal Province Police Commissioner said police are searching intensively for the gun person or gun persons. A deputy governor of Kampot province was removed from his position for allegedly pawning an official state car for $30,000 after altering the number plates. Kampot City Police Deputy Chief said that the former Deputy Governor took a state car Lexus RX 750 and altered the license plate, then pawned it for $30,000 to the owner of a car garage in Kampot. The vehicle has since been seized and returned to the Kampot Provincial Hall. Now it's time for everyone's favourite section of the news: drugs, cigarettes and alcohol. A Colombian national who was sentenced to life imprisonment by a lower court for the possession of almost 4 kilos of cocaine has appealed to the Supreme Court to review the conviction, saying that he was not a drug trafficker. He claims that he was just a paid worker who was asked to carry the drugs from Colombia to Cambodia. The 63-year-old told the Supreme Court yesterday that the drugs belonged to an unknown Nigerian man who lived in Colombia and is now at large. "I admit I carried the drugs from Colombia to Cambodia on the day of my arrest, but those drugs did not belong to me," he said, adding that he did agree to carry the drugs because his family owed the Nigerian man money and could not repay him. So I guess you could say he was more of a drug mule. That decision really bit him on the ass. For some reason, there are a lot of acronyms in the stories this week. A multilateral effort to tackle illicit tobacco smuggling, codenamed Project Portcullis, ended this month with a seizure of more than 19 million cigarettes. The ASEAN Australian Task Force shared intelligence on tobacco consignments, allowing customs authorities to scrutinise an increased volume of suspicious sea cargo and land border consignments through the Alert Notification System, or the ANS. This replaced the old Alert Notification Ultra System, or the ANUS, as it really stank. Oh dear. The Royal University of Phnom Penh's Department of Psychology found last year that 28% of all imported cigarettes sold in markets were unstamped. Cambodia is said to have lost about $3.3 million in taxes from illicit cigarette trade in 2019. That's just 1 year, according to the UN Office on Drug and Crime, the UNODC. That story was very enlightening. 10 people, including 7 women, were killed while 11 others were hospitalised after drinking tainted rice wine in a village in Kampot province. The incident happened when villagers were at a funeral where the deceased had also been a victim of rice wine poisoning. The commune police chief said that the incident happened when the deceased bought rice wine from a local pub after work and he died after consuming it. The villagers then went to the funeral of the man and also drank the same rice wine. Subsequently, they showed symptoms of poisoning such as vomiting, diarrhea, giddiness, difficulty breathing, stomach pain and headache. He said some of them died after returning home from the funeral, while others had died at the private clinic or at the district referral hospital. I think it's time we flip bird to a happier story, one with some real porpoise. Another Mekong dolphin calf, around 1 week old, has been spotted swimming alongside 9 adult dolphins at the Campi Pool in the Campi Dolphin Canyon in the Krache province. In addition, after detecting the presence of a new baby dolphin, the team from the WWF, no, not the World Wrestling Federation, but the Worldwide Fund for Nature, observed the activities of a large herd of young dolphins with the calf and its parent. It's time for percentages. The Ministry of Roads and Public Works reported that the bridges that are being built to span the Bassac River and the National Road 4, National Road 1, are nearing completion. These bridges are estimated to be 97.25% completed. Among those bridges is the 630-metre bridge that spans the East Bassac River, located in the Praveng province. It is reported to be 95.1% completed and is scheduled to be functional in October. Another bridge is the bridge that crosses over the West Bassac River, also in Praveng. Its length is just 366 metres and it is 99.4% completed and is set to be open in September. Time to go and visit Praveng, I think. Now for the best percentages of all. We have indeed saved the best percentage until last. 46.54% of the 10 million people in Cambodia's vaccination target group, that's 4,654,451 people, have received at least their first dose of the COVID vaccination. With the goal of full vaccination by the end of October, we're hopeful that Cambodia will be opening up by the end of the year, if not early next year. Well, don't quote us on that, but if the vaccinations going at the rate that they currently are, we're really hoping that that's going to be the case. Now, there was one other very big story during this past week. It's called The Chinese Lion King and the 6 kilos of raw meat. It's a 7-part news story that is very interesting but also extremely complex. We do apologise, but for many different reasons we can't say too much about it. We have put the links to the stories into the comments section so you can read this one for yourself if you like. On top of that, links to all of the stories that we mentioned in today's News Moto are included in the comments section as well. Thank you so much for watching. It's our pleasure to have you here with us, listening to the news about Cambodia and finding out what's going on in the kingdom. We appreciate all of you and we really like it when you make comments down below, so please do that so that we can get to know what you're thinking about what's going on here. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. There are links to all of our social media, other channels that we follow, people that are making content in Cambodia, and all of the stuff that you really should be having a good, thorough look at. I also forgot to mention at the beginning that if you're interested in knowing which charities we support with the money that we earn on YouTube, those charities are linked in the description of this and all of our other videos as well. So feel free to have a look at that. And there's links so you can donate to those people if you want to as well. I think that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the News Moto and we'll see you in the next one. I think it will be another cave story. Clearly I have lived to tell the tale, so there's no danger. You can watch that without fear. Hopefully we'll see you then on the weekend. Until then, bye.